So just to put a bit of context, ETEX is a 2.6 billion euro turnover group active in the building material manufacturing with a global footprint. So we are essentially present in Europe and in Latin America. So we have quite a lot of factories as well, just that you know a bit what we are talking about. So if you switch to the next slide. So regarding our budget transformation journey, what is important to know is that this is not a standalone transformation. We just not woke up one day and said we will change our budgeting process. This is part of a much broader transformation of the group, where we started basically in 2018 a reflection on our organizational model, our processes, and how to streamline our processes as much as possible and to add value. So starting in 2018, really with an in-depth reflection on all our processes, not only financial, we were able to redesign our organizational model in finance, our core processes, of which finance budgets is one of them. So moving fast, in 2020, we decided basically to stop with budgeting. And I can say there that the COVID crisis helped to take the decision, but was not the core driver. I mean, we had already started the reflection and we knew already that there was something that we wanted to change about our budgets. And I'm proud to say that in 2021, this is really the first year in ETEX without any budget of any kind. I mean, we don't have a budget anymore. Some people still ask, what is your budget for next year? We just don't have one. And April was the first rolling forecast in our new model. So let me share with you what this new model is about. If we switch to the next slide. So we branded it ETEX Performance Way. It's the way we look at performance. So we went from an annual budget, you know, as was mentioned by France, which is heavy, resource intensive, where there is an unclear distinction between what is your ambition, what is your estimation, what is it? Is it a commitment? Yes or no? Very static and quickly outdated. Actually, you know, sometimes I joke and I say the only thing that didn't change in ETEX in 2020 is the budget. I mean, we were still referring to the budget in November, while the whole world had changed. We were all in lockdown, but we still were referring to a budget. So that is something that, you know, if you think about it, it's a bit strange. So we decided to stop with that and to replace this by another framework around two building blocks at the top. So on the first place, a target setting, very high level. So we look at, you know, turnover, EBITDA. We don't go at a product level, which is about setting the ambitions for the next year. So what, you know, what we say, it has to be a healthy ambition for the managers and the leaders, what they want to achieve for next year. Next to that, we have a rolling forecast, which is about providing our best estimate of the next 18-month business and financial performance for the group. So this is something that we do on a quarterly basis. Therefore, we have to support it by you know, good technology to avoid that in the end we do a budget every quarter and then we would have you know, multiplied the workload by 4 instead of dividing it by 10. But so these are really two core building blocks of our new model. Next to that, we want to bring the conversation much more on action plans and on what we do to realize our, you know, to reach our targets and to realize our ambition. Therefore, we are focusing the discussions much more on action plans rather than numbers. You know, the numbers are there, that's fine, we have a look at them, but what we want is to know what are you going to do to improve your performance. So therefore, we are now putting in place action plans, or we have put in place action plans in a, not in a, you know, in quite light way still. You know, what we want is it to be that it's agile, but at least that we know what we are doing. And finally, we have changed our approach to standard costing. So being in a manufacturing environment, we had a very heavy standard costing fixed over time for you know, at least 12 months. Now we are having a much more dynamic way of approaching our standard cost, updating them on a regular basis. So this is, let's say, the core of what we have changed. Of course, in 8 minutes, that's a bit short to give you more details, but this is the core of it. And now let me share with you a few learnings that we had along the way, some tips, some challenges that we faced. And really the first challenge that we had, and you know, it might seem like everybody says that, was change management. and really change management at all levels in the group, not only at the top, but also, you know, at all levels in the organization, and really insisting on the why and the what before the how. You know, we decided to move away from budgets and to adopt some of the principles of beyond budgeting before having a clear view on how we would do our rolling forecast. Just a tip, you know, I shared the book about implementing beyond budgeting with at least 50 people in the group, ensuring that they had read it. You have to have a solid coalition of believers, people who, even when you are being strongly challenged about, you know, let's get serious now, let's do a budget again, that can say, no, guys, this is not what we're going to do. Let's stick to our principles. Let's give it a decent try. Second tip, don't look for perfection in the start. I mean, you have to dare to jump, even if you don't have the answers on everything, or even if everything is not perfect. As I said, we decided to stop with our budget and go for a rolling forecast. We had no clue about how we would do that rolling forecast. You know, we had to start brainstorming. Should we go for Excel? Should we use this tool or that tool? But that's never mind. We were able to move on, and along the way, we were able to do it. Therefore, you have to manage the expectations throughout the process. By doing this, you won't be perfect in the beginning. That's obvious. That's not possible, but that's okay, as long as, you know, you manage the expectations, that people know that the rolling forecast, the first rolling forecast that you do, won't be super science. Actually, the second one won't be super science either. But what you need to do is that, have you achieved the main goals along the way? Reducing the workload, ensuring that the discussion goes towards actions rather than crunching budget numbers. And there, I'm proud to say that for the time being, this is the case in ETEX. If you go to the next slide, more tips. The tool is a means to an end. The first thing that was asked when we said we would do a rolling forecast is, what tool are you going to use? Well, that's not the thing. You know, do we agree that we want to do a rolling forecast first, and how we want to do it, you know, in terms of philosophy, before looking for the tool? Tools, there are plenty of them out there. While building the rolling forecast, you need to find really that fine line between too much detail, where you would be doing a budget on a quarterly basis, and that's just not possible, or not enough detail, where you're basically just providing numbers that are not useful for anybody, and you're better just taking an Excel and doing it yourself. You need to be vigilant to embed the change in the organization and avoid shadow budgets. What we discovered along the way in ETEX is that the budget figures are being used for lots of different things that you're not even aware of. Some factories were using the budget figures for production planning, and they didn't have that anymore. So they were very keen on rebuilding a budget, you know, starting a shadow budget process to be assured that they have that, rather than, you know, taking another approach. And in these cases, what you need to do is say, stop, guys, let's discuss together on the root cause of your problem, and let's find a clever way to solve your problem, and a useful way to solve your problem. And last but not least, don't underestimate the link to variable pay. I mean, budgets are linked to variable pay in most companies. This was the case in ETEX. It had a big place in our variable pay, and it really can unsettle some stakeholders not to have a budget anymore. And you know, you could see that some people were blocked more. They could adhere to the philosophy of beyond budgeting, but they were wondering how is this going to work for the remuneration, and they would rather not move because of that. But okay, we're still looking for the right way to do it in ETEX. You know, it's the first year that we are without budget, so I cannot really say how it will affect the behaviors of the people in terms of variable pay. It's too early, but we found a way. You know, we reduced the importance of the targets in the remuneration, and we increased other things like, you know, corporate social responsibility into the bonus pay, and we mutualized the targets, meaning we don't make it very granular where everybody is responsible for his small scope. We go at the group level so that, you know, people are all in the same boat. So this was it for me. I would like to thank you for inviting me again, and Hans, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that. Great story from Guillaume here. Of course, Guillaume, you shared with us, you know, from the very beginning, the initial sort of step and where you are right now.